My name is Leticia, and tonight I will be introducing a unit on fractions. This unit is for early intermediate and intermediate ELL students. The first day I'm going to begin by writing the objectives, content objectives, and language objectives on the board. And the objectives will say, by the end of this unit, students will be able to achieve the following: identify the parts of a whole, learn what a fraction is and how to name fractions, and learn the meaning of numerator and denominator. The vocabulary that I'm going to introduce, it is as follows. Fractions, I would have the word fractions on the board written down. Parts of one whole, slice, 1/2, 1/8, 1/4, halves, quarters, eighths, and so on. And the reason why I'm introducing slice is because to begin my lesson, the first aid, I'm going to show a picture of using paper plates to introduce with the pizza pie, to introduce fractions. But before that, I will go into a personal story that has to do with math. So moving on, the materials that we'll be using will be paper plates, crayons, and scissors. To motivate the students, I will suggest that at the end of the unit, we will have a pizza party to celebrate. So that will be the first day. Second day of my lesson is going to cover a review about the previous day, introducing fractions. And on the last day, second day again, our objective will be today we're going to identify and write names of many fractions. And I will ask the whole class this question: what are we going to do today? So that they would respond back to make sure that they understand what our objective is on the second day. And our vocabulary will be again on the board with the content objective as well as language objective, where they're going to be using their listening skills, their writing skills, speaking, and I'm missing one. Reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Yes. For the vocabulary, it's going to be we're going to introduce thirds, sixths, twelfths, and the equal sign in math. Also, materials for this lesson will include an activity sheet, which looks like this, with circles and the different fractions, where I'm going to give directions as to what to do. We're going to read one at a time. So step 1 says color the circles at the bottom of the page. So together we're going to do one by one until we are all done with it as a whole class. So, and to wrap that up, that lesson 2, I will going to say today you got better and faster at identifying and naming fractions. So what did you do today? I would ask that. Also, what does the denominator stand for? And I will expect them to say number of equal parts of the whole, and as well as what does the numerator stands for, which is number of parts you are talking about. Okay. Moving on to our third day, we're going to begin with a review of what we did the day before. And I would say in the last 2 days, we have learned to identify and name fractions, and we have learned about numerators and denominators. And I will give them a review practice. We're going to draw some circles on the board. I'm going to have them come to the board and have them write what the fractions are with the circles divided into different fractions. So our objective, I'm going to go into the objectives again. Today we will work with fractions of shapes of other than circles. So I'm going to go into more in depth with other shapes, and once again I would ask them, what will you do today? So we're gonna learn to identify fractions other than circles, and I will ask them what kinds of shapes we can use. So we can use square, rectangles, and etc. Vocabulary for this lesson will be vocabulary word of the word concept, and I would have the definition of it on the board already. Also, the word idea, and the words squares, triangles, rectangles as shapes that we'll be using that on this day. So I'm going to teach, I will say we have been working mostly with circles, and I will draw circles again on the board. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning. What shape was the pizza we cut into fractions the first day? So I expect them to say circles or pizza pies. And what are some other shapes besides circles that we can use? And so once again, we'll get square, triangles, rectangles, etc. And I will draw rectangles and squares, and our activity will include an activity sheet with those shapes and the fractions written down. And I'm going to have them work individually at first, and then as they are finished, I'm going to have them raise their hand and they pair with somebody else that has also finished it, and talk about it, how they came up with that, the correct answer, if they do have the same answer. And and at the end, we are going to correct all of our papers together as a class. So, and to check for understanding, I will go around the room, circulating, providing assistance, or just giving reinforcement as needed. And to wrap it up, I will say today you learned the concept or idea of fractions that applies to all kinds of shapes. And I will ask, what are some shapes it applies to besides circles? And hopefully they will say squares, rectangles, triangles, and so on. And that would conclude our lesson for our unit, but we will then have a celebration with a pizza party. Yay. Thank you.